welcome everyone to our weekly team call. This is a Vision and Action team training call. I guess we'll call it a training call. I guess that's good enough. But just know it's not just about training. It's about connection. And we've been doing these calls for quite some time. Purpose, really, is just to create connectedness, community, where people can plug in, maybe hear different things that can help them and assist them to stay connected to USANA. It's like going to events in a sense. It keeps you connected. It lets you know that you're not alone at this and that there's going to be hopefully some consistency. I welcome interaction. So as you hear things or have questions or add-ons or personal validations of information you hear, you can type that into the chat feature, and I also really encourage you to send me emails or texts. You guys have my email, so that I can pass that information on to the greater team. So once again, I said, as you're hopping on the call, if you use the call line, please, the courtesy of please pressing *6, because we can hear you breathe, and we can't see you, but we can certainly hear you. *6 mutes you out. If you have a question and you want to use the live line, pressing *6 a second time will unmute you and allow you to be heard. But for the courtesy of others, *6, appreciate that so much. Thank you. All right. Well, I don't have a lot of updates for this evening. The only two updates I'm going to share is, one, convention. The lowest price that you will get for convention attendance for 2016 will be found under Contests and Events, International Convention. You'll see the pricing there. I'm not going to go here now. I'm just going to leave this in presentation mode. But if you'll go there on the hub, you'll see that you'll have till September 4th, which is zooming away. In fact, when is that? That would be this. No, that's not correct. All right, here we go. Friday. This Friday will be the last day to get it at 229. If you got a group of you want to get together with a 10-pack, you can certainly do that. Those that do will have, or those that are registered for convention by that date, will have access to the end of September to our to the convention general sessions on demand, the recordings of the general sessions that were on demand. Excellent. I hope you all take advantage of that. It's a great thing to do, and you can actually do more than just build your own belief by watching the on-demand, the video recordings of most of the general sessions and the announcements. What you can do is play that for prospects, or play that for team members, or get together and play that. So darn it, make sure you're registered for convention 2016. Dr. Wentz said several times during his talks, it's going to be an amazing, amazing announcement that will be made at convention. So you want to be in your seats for that. I can still hear somebody breathing, so please, *6 would really help. In fact,
you are now muted.
I just muted everything else. That's cool. All right, great. Well, let's continue. Adele is from Albuquerque. Guy is from Ypsilanti, Michigan. You hear no voice. I don't know why. Just keep trying. Maybe you have it turned off, but just use the call-in line, Adele. That will help. Let's see. Anybody else? No, we're good to go here. So that's going to be it for updates. Oh, yes, one last update. You're probably, if you're registered for convention or if you paid for the convention, the streaming, live streaming of the convention, you are entitled to this on-demand recordings, and you might be wondering, how do you access those? I was today. So it should be either tonight or tomorrow. We will get an email, and it will also be on the revolving banner on the hub as to how to access that if you're entitled to it. And so I know it's in the 28th. It's a couple of days late, but they're going to communicate with us. That's what they said. Also, there'll be some new videos coming down the pike. And if you're concerned or wondering about when Health and Freedom newsletters, product information books, and catalogs are coming down, that will happen when the new My Smart Foods products launch in the 1st of December. So that's a little bit about updates. So with that said, I want to get on to tonight's topic. You know, personal development is probably the most important. It's probably misunderstood, but it's probably the most important thing that you can pursue in any aspect in your life for any reason. I mean, and not just USANA. I mean, making a commitment to personally develop, to change your programming, to learn and grow, to love yourself more. It's critical. One of the personal development gurus, one of the personal development committed individuals that passed away on Saturday. It was Dr. Wayne Dyer. You might have seen him on Oprah. So I dedicate, tonight's presentation to his honor. He's made that transition, and just a great man, a great influence for so many that from Deepak Chopra, a very close friend of Deepak Chopra's, to Tony Robbins, obviously, to Oprah Winfrey, who was on the show many, many times, and he shared his love and his knowledge with hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So, an honor and a moment there for Dr. Wayne Dyer. Most known, my manuscript was The Power of Intention, and so that's a little bit about that. So as we get started here this evening, it's a topic that's really close and dear to my heart. I share it. I teach what I need to learn. It's what it's about. And so I want you to all, take a deep breath, relax, and take some of this in. And imagine with me that it's a mid-spring day up north somewhere in the northeast area, and the air is still cold. And in the distance, you see. And there's a field with a lone cherry tree, big, massive lone cherry tree standing out there, and its branches are bare with the exception of little buds at the tips of the branches. And at the base of the cherry tree, if you focus, you see a small snail moving ever so slowly and with great effort up this tree trunk. 6 crows flies down, gathers around the tree, and they're laughing and ridiculing this snail. And the biggest one moves up and says, "Foolish snail, where are you going? Don't you know there's no fruit at the top of this tree?" And the snail, with wisdom, stops its painful forward motion and replies, "That may be so. But by the time I get where I'm going, there's going to be abundance of cherries to eat, abundance of cherries and plenty for me to eat." I want you to think about that for a moment. What's the snail have? Well, the snail has a vision. And it is true, the snail has a vision, a belief that when it gets to where it's going, there's going to be food for it to eat. And so we call this understanding your why, creating and managing your vision. So the first thing we tackle here is your why. So, your why and your vision is similar. Both create motivation. If you're hungry, you go to eat. But you'll give up looking for food if you don't believe that you'll get it. So both create motivation, but your why, I want you to think about your why as being extremely immediate. What's the snail have? The snail has a why, and the snail has a vision. Its why is it's hungry. Its vision is by the time it gets where it's going, there'll be plenty to eat, and it's got that faith, right? So both are going to create that motivation. Your why is immediate. Your vision, think of it as more long-term. It sort of pulls you forward. And, we need both when one flows out of the other, quite honestly. And they sound very much the same, but they are certainly dissimilar. We're all here, if you think about it. Each of us is here because of one man's why and that man's vision, his why and his vision. Who's that? Well, it says it right there on screen, Dr. Myron Wentz. Dr. Wentz has a why and Dr. Wentz has a vision. So if we were in session here, and I could ask you, what do you think Dr. Wentz's why is? And you would answer, of course, and correctly, that his why was his health. His health was failing. There would not be a USANA unless there was a time when Dr. Wentz was looking to nutrient his own cells because of his health concerns for himself and also for that of for his family, several of whom had passed already. So that was Dr. Wentz's why, is to create products that would work, that would help people. But his vision, it was so much broader, and it is the same vision that's been there since 1995 when I found this company for myself, or when it found me in my own negative emotion state. And that vision is, what's his vision? What's Dr. Wentz's vision? I dream of a world free from pain and suffering. I dream of a world free from disease. Now that vision has been that USANA family will be the healthiest family on earth. That vision has been intact, has not changed once. It's all that Dr. Wentz is about, and it has propelled this company from humble beginnings to a billion-dollar company this year, affecting people's lives. So it flowed out of a why, but the vision was bigger and greater, and certainly the vision, if you don't have a vision, then you just stay where you are. So that's a little bit about the why aspect of it. So, each of us, we'll go dig a little deeper into a why. Each of us has a reason for having joined USANA. And, whether you're earning income with this or not, you still had a reason. You signed your application. Why? Why did you sign your application? That's going to be the reason. The reason you joined USANA is you had some type of need or desire. Maybe it was, it wasn't core motivating at the time, but if you were just a customer, you could have just been a customer. You didn't have to sign your application, is what I'm saying. So each of us has a reason for joining, and we signed our app for that reason. Maybe it was like more time for our family, or it could be health. But then again, we could have been just customers. It could be money, and most of it was to be able to create maybe some extra money. It was pretty exciting, or maybe somebody threatened you. I don't know what your why was, but there is a reason, and you want to dig down. Your reason is your why, and so your why has to be compelling. Darren Hardy talks about that in his audio CD that is in the business development system called Making the Shift. Making the Shift is a mindset audio. You'll all find it in your business development system. If you don't have that, what you'll do is just go on YouTube and you can listen to it. You can listen to it on YouTube. I found it a couple times there. So, but it's called Making the Shift by Darren Hardy, or go on Darren Hardy's call USANA. Maybe they'll if you got in with a business development system prior to almost 3 years now, then and you haven't updated with a new BDS, then I'm sure USANA will help you out there. But it's a great audio CD, and in it he talks about having a compelling reason to do something, having a why, something that actually kicks you out of bed. It has to be compelling. It has to be something that's more than money. It has to be something more than freedom. Those are brilliant things to want and reasons to have signed an application, but they're not broad enough to be consistently motivating. And so I want you to think of this. Each of you has a why. If you work for a living, if you go to work every day, you have a why. What's the why? It could be responsibility to coworkers. It could be you actually enjoy what you do. You would be maybe 30% of you'd be in the 30% group, as you have upwards of 70% of people in numerous polls done over the years have job dissatisfaction. It's in Forbes. I looked it up today. USA Today. All these articles, all these polls that were done, CBS poll, NBC poll, CNN polls, all showed with their sampling that close to 70% of people fell into the mildly to severely the mild to severe dissatisfaction group relative to their job. So, hey, that might be you. It might not be you. But nevertheless, even if you love your job, at the end of the day, let's say you have a rough day, really horrible day, challenges left and right, nothing works right, you spill food all over yourself, people laugh at you, you make mistakes, whatever. You come home and you ruminate on the tough day you had, and what do you do the next day? Well, you might be saying, and you would be correct, you go back to work. And you have an option. If you think about it, you don't have to work. You could make the choice. One thing we do get in our lives is choice. You can make the choice to not go back to work. Some people do. And so, but the consequences of doing that are ultimately no food, no money for food, no money for rent, be on the street. It's not an option in most of our lives. So we tough it out, and we dust ourselves off, and we go back to work the next day. But your reason for going to work is compelling. Survival is compelling. If you have that same type of why with your USANA business, I'll tell you, you will begin to move mountains and learn skill sets that will get you where you want to go. So if you don't have a why, then how you do this, the techniques you'll learn in GoPro, or from some of the skills we discuss and pound on over and over again, they won't even matter if you don't have a why. So you really, really need a reason. And what we suggest is, on a piece of paper, you grab a piece of paper and start writing 20 reasons why. You want to dig deep. What do you want? I mean, maybe you want to give anonymously to charities of your choice, or maybe you want to travel. Travel's important to you. Maybe you just want to slow it down and not have to work as many hours, or you want to spend more time with your family, or you want to provide a legacy if you're older. Or, it's what do you want? Just keep writing everything down, and some of those, once it's done, once you get 20 on paper. In fact, they should not all say money, 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 money. They should. Some of them will resonate more strongly, and you'll bring those to the top, and then you'll work with those to become compelling, so that when you focus on them, they will create that external motivation that kick you out of bed in the morning to do your sauna business. And so, just give that some thought. But your why is going to be a little bit different than your vision, as we already said. You see, a conscious vision springs out of faith. It's an internal knowing or belief. It's not our reality. So think about that snail once again. What's the snail's reality is that it's hungry, that it's cold, that it's being ridiculed and laughed at, that it's at the base of the tree, and that there's no fruit around to satisfy its hunger. But it has faith that if it puts out the effort, at the top of the cherry tree, there's sustenance, there's abundance. And so how does that internal belief happen? Think about that. I use examples. Think about farming. I love the law of the farm. What you reap is what you sow. And so, if you've ever farmed before, if you ever thought about farming, how did it start? Who thought to put a seed in the ground and hang out, do all kinds of prep work and toil and toil and toil? How did they know in the beginning that something would happen, that they would have abundance, that they would have crops? It had to start with some type of faith, right? That if they planted and then they fertilized and they hoed and they did everything they had to do, that they would have food. And so you think about that. That's a perfect example of a vision springs out of faith. The positive vision springs out of faith. And so they believe. Even when the weather comes, they believe. The farmer believes. So I love that. I love the gardening analogy. What you reap is what you will have sown. All right? And if there is no sowing in this business, if you're not out there sharing Dr. Wentz's vision, then there will be no reapage, that's a word. All right. So think about that, though. The law of the farm, as you do anything, you plant, you till, you believe, you have faith, you keep working. Sometimes there are setbacks. Sometimes life will set you back and pull you out of your own vision for what you want for yourself. But, you dust yourself off, you come back, you do it again, you do it again. Ultimately, those that do are rewarded with abundance. And that's a microcosm for what our business is all about, and that's why it changes lives so greatly. Okay, so we all have a vision. Every one of us has a vision already, whether it be positive, neutral, or negative. Fortunately, I say fortunately, but unfortunately for some, our vision always takes us to exactly what we see. Now, you got to know that this vision is as I said here, it's unconscious. It's not a conscious vision. We'll talk about tonight is actually creating a conscious vision that propels you. So let's look at that. What does a positive vision look like? It would look like that the goals that you have are inevitable. If you plant, you will reap. In other words, if you plant tomato plants, you're going to be eating big fat red tomatoes. That's what a positive vision. It looks like the goal that you have is inevitable. It's going to happen. Okay? A neutral vision is it looks like whatever you got right now is inevitable. In other words, same old, no change. Why do anything else? Not necessarily negative, not necessarily positive, just sort of like slack water, nothing happening. And so a neutral vision, hang on. All right. So in neutral vision, not much is going on. But what about a negative vision? Let's look at that. Okay. So a negative vision is where you worry that everything you now have you're going to lose. You can even lose everything you got already. So, so where's your unconscious vision in your life right now? You have to answer that, but if you had a choice, and guess what? You do. We all do. What kind of vision would you want to create for yourself? So just know there's three basic forms of vision. Positive is where your vision's aligned with your goals. Neutral is where your vision is not aligned with your goals, but is rather a reflection of your current results. And negative is a vision is not only not aligned with your goals or your current results, but rather results further away from where you want to be, and you keep losing it and it keeps slipping away. So if that sounds like you, we got to move you forward to at least a neutral vision, if not a positive vision. That's what tonight's all about. So let's keep on going here. I'm not going to talk about creative tension that requires a demonstration, but having a belief or a vision and what we would like to be and do and have, and actually taking action, and like I always say, the action gets easier, is what creates success and is what creates goal achievement. And so that's basically the overview. But now let's look at some scary stuff here, okay? Okay. All right. So how do we arrive at our present reality? We're the product of our own belief system. It's conditioning is what it is. It's conditioning. So contemplate a 4,500-pound elephant that you see in the circus. If you look at it carefully, it's tethered around its neck with a big, thick rope, which is tied basically to anything. And why doesn't it just break free and go and take off and be free? Why doesn't it escape? Well, when it's a baby elephant, its hind leg has a chain wrapped around it, which is tethered to something that's pretty secure, like a cement stake in the ground or whatever. And it learns over time by trying to get loose that to resist is futile. That to resist is futile. Later on in life, that very powerful elephant, which could easily rip that wooden stake out of the ground or the fence down, or break the rope for that matter, is tethered and is docile. It's conditioned. Okay, so I want to give you a recipe. I'm not a bartender here, but take an 8-ounce glass and dump a bunch of fleas in there. And before the fleas jump out, you put a glass lid on top of that 8-ounce glass. So it's sealing it off. And so you can watch the fleas. They're going to jump up and keep smacking their little flea brains against the underside of this glass top. And then ultimately, after a while, you can remove the lid and the fleas only jump as high as the top rim of the glass. Now, it's fact. I don't say that we're elephants or fleas, but we are programmed thusly, okay? And what's called self-imposed limitations. They are self-imposed because they're us, and we can change. We can certainly change things. And so, one of my favorites, Self-Limiting Habits of Belief. One of my favorite books, and I love to share that. In fact, I shared this with my son again today, and with my daughter-in-law. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, and in it's written by Shad Helmstetter. And in it, he covers a bunch of stuff, but I'm just going to cover some highlights here. In fact, by the time you were 8 years old, you had heard the word no 148,000 times. I'm going to say that again. And this is in fairly positive homes that we grew up in, all right? You heard the same word over and over again. How over and over is it? That we could not do what we wanted to do, or you weren't allowed to do this. Basically, you heard the limiting word no over 148,000 times. Listen, if you were a little more fortunate, maybe you were told no over 100,000 times by the age 8, or maybe only 50,000 times. But you know what? It was considerably more negative programming than any of us really need. So now these no's are being uttered by well-meaning people. These are our parents. They don't want us to get hurt. They want to, whether it be emotional or physical, and sometimes it could be even more severe. It could be even more severe, like being told your voice is lousy, and then never the child. I heard a story with that where the parents said, "No, your singing is like chalk on a blackboard," and that child never sang again. She was so shocked and wounded, and that was self-imposed. I mean, obviously it was imposed externally, but then believed in her life moving forward. What if researchers are correct, he writes, That means that as much as 75% or more of our programming is the wrong kind. I'm going to read that again. 75% of the programming we receive from the world, from well-meaning people, what if it's wrong? I mean, these are behavioral researchers, and they've told us that 75% of everything we think is negative, is counterproductive, and works against us. And at the same time, he goes into illness and all that stuff. That's pretty powerful. So in his book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, Shad talks about self-talk, as well as lots of other stuff. And I want to touch on some of the self-talk because I think we'll all get a laugh out of it. It's a wall of negative self-talk he writes about. Things that we hear every single day, things that are uttered out of our mouths every single day, like, I just get sick thinking about it, or I never remember names. I love that one because it's so true. I mean, I've uttered that several times, and guess what? I don't remember names. Today isn't my day. It's just no use. That's just my luck. I'm so clumsy. I love that one. These are the things that we say to ourselves negatively that we program ourselves, just like the fleas and the elephants. We are programming ourselves over and over and over again. What else? There's a couple of others I love. I get so depressed. I just can't seem to get anything done. I love that. I hate my job. Okay, you have a choice. I mean, even if it's not a nice job, you don't have to hate it. I just can't take it anymore. I get a cold every time. I get a cold every year around this time. I get sick every year around this time. I've seen people do that, and then the next week I talk to them, they're sick. If I only had more time, if I only had more money. These are all negative affirmations. These are negative things that we're saying to ourselves to continue this programming that's been going on for a lifetime. So, I guess you could shoot yourself. I hope you don't. But you do have choices. We do have choices. We're going to talk about that. So those are self-imposed habits of belief or self-talk, negative self-talk. Get the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. It's a great read. It's pretty simple. There's nothing woo-woo about it. It's actually pretty cognitive in that it speaks about the mind like a computer, but we'll get there. Well, what you expect, negative or positive, is always what you're going to get. You're always going to get it. So it's about the word expectation. And when I'm in a group doing this, I say to the group, who wants to be a gold director? Average gold director executive gold director earns a minimum of $50,000 a year. So everybody raises their hands. Who doesn't want that? But then I said, would you bet me? Would you go out and honestly bet me? You have to put the money in escrow that you'll be a gold director in the next 12 to 18 months. And most hands go down. And that's very telling, it's very telling. But there are some warrior hands that stay up there, and some truly do believe, they have core belief that they're already a gold director, So, but many hands go down. Why? They don't want to be a gold director? No, of course they want to be. They don't expect to be. Why? Maybe they haven't been successful. Maybe they haven't experienced in this business. So the word expectation, if you think about it, the word expectation is synonymous with vision. It's synonymous with belief. They're all the same. All those words or the aspects of those words create internal motivation to move forward to goals that we want and that we desire if we're committed to reprogramming through vision crafting and the things we'll talk about later on tonight. And I'm going to give you some hard stuff that you can actually do if you choose to. So here's the good news, that we can replace these self-limiting beliefs by creating a new vision of what we want for ourselves, by actually creating the vision, then working with it. That's what this is about, vision crafting. And then working with it, we can actually reprogram. Think of your mind like a computer. It's cognitive. If you couldn't just turn the computer on one day and it's going to change, you'd have to change the program on the computer for it to function differently or better or at a higher level or the way you wanted it to. So a vision is defined as a vivid picture created by the imagination or the act of imagining. And think about that. It's just the act or power of imagining. If you knew that you could imagine and then draw the resources to yourself to get where you want to go, obviously don't sit there and just imagine, but it does get easier because all of these words create internal motivation, all these words of expectation, of expecting to be. If that snail expects that there's fruit on top of that tree, that snail has vision, and it's moving forward because of that. It's not just a hunger, it's being moved internally, and its efforts are being underlined and supported by its belief system, by its vision, by its expectation that what it wants is going to be where it's supposed to be when it gets to where it's going, and so it sees it as a done deal. So the mind is like a computer. It's going to believe whatever you feed it, positive or negative. I think I got that point across, but I want to get a few other points across. Did you know, it's a Poe's poem I love to read. It says, the mind cannot differentiate between what's real and vividly imagined. It'll believe whatever you feed it, positive or negative. If you see yourself as successful, if you live in that vision, if you live in the vision of a world free from pain and suffering, then you get what you vision. I read. I am very accommodating. I do not ask questions. I accept whatever you give me. I do whatever I am told to do, and I do not presume to change anything you think or say or do. I file it away in perfect order, quickly, efficiently, and return it to you exactly as you gave it to me. Sometimes you call me your memory. I am the reservoir into which you toss anything your heart or mind chooses to deposit there. I work day and night. I never rest, and nothing can impede my activity. The thoughts you send me are categorized and filed, and my filing system never fails. I'm truly your servant who does your bidding without hesitation or criticism. I cooperate when you tell me when you tell me you are this or that, and I play it back to you as you gave it. I am most agreeable, and since I do not argue, judge, analyze, question, or make decisions, I accept impressions easily. I'm going to ask you to sort out what you send me, however, as my files are getting a little cluttered and confused. I mean, please, get rid of those things you do not want returned to you. What's my name? Oh, I thought you knew. I'm your subconscious. I'm your subconscious. When I talk about the subconscious mind, some people think, oh my God, I'm going to play with my mind. Listen, your mind has already been played with. It's already programmed. In fact, I was reading some statistics a couple of days ago. 95% of our actions, 95% of our beliefs and our feelings are automatically controlled by our subconscious. That's amazing if you think about that. The subconscious mind is 1,000,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. There's a gentleman who spoke at a Masonic convention years ago as an Olympic speed skier. In other words, basically they go in one direction, downhill fast. And he was in his motivation talk, and actually has a book, The Ant and the Elephant. It's a great visual to see what's going on. So imagine an ant riding on the back of an elephant. Where's the ant going to go? Wherever the elephant wants to go, wherever the elephant is inclined to go. And so one day the ant says, well, I don't want to go in that direction. I want to go in a different direction. And it says to the elephant, I want to go in a different direction. And the elephant looks over its shoulder and sees a little teeny ant up there and says, uh-huh, and keeps moving in the direction it's inclined to go. Ultimately, the ant cannot control the elephant. That 5% will not steer the 95%. It won't happen. But what could happen is the ant could slowly over time continue to tell the elephant what it desires over and over and over again with repetition over and over and over again. And obviously with repetition and emotion, there's a couple of fine points we'll cover, but ultimately that ant has the power to change, to reprogram the direction of the elephant. I love the ant on the elephant. Just think about your subconscious mind, what controls 95% of your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your feelings, and think about, when you're conscious, you might say, well, I don't want to feel like that, or I want to eat better, and then all of a sudden, boom, maybe you said that to your subconscious mind, but did things change? How does it change? Habit. Creating new habits. What is creating a new habit? It's layering over old habits. It's reprogramming the subconscious mind. It's not a voodoo negative thing, guys, and I hope you're getting some of this because it is so important because guess what? We only get one life. As I always say, we get one life, and that's all we get. So, visualization, vision work has been used by athletes, by golfers. You ever see these golfers? They sit there before they even address the ball, before they get up to the ball, and they see the shot, the loft of the shot, the backswing. They see the whole thing, the spin on the ball, where it's going to go, before it actually happens. They're visualizing the process. Any kind of you could see it with mogul skiers. I mean, before they go, or downhill skiers, they're visualizing the course, their actions, and themselves as successful. Our daughter, they do it with cancer patients. Our daughter, when she was 5, had thyroid cancer, and what they were doing, and I think it was I forgot the name of the hospital, but it was in Boston, Mass. And what they were doing up there was actually teaching the kids to visualize the cancer cells being slain as dragons, and they were being slain by the white knights, by the white cells. Okay, and they would teach these kids visualization. I thought it was fascinating and amazing. But visualization. I saw my other daughter, Amanda, create this phenomenal wedding for herself when we had no money. I didn't know what I could contribute, but she didn't hear the negative. She just kept visualizing what her ideal wedding would look like, and she pulled it together, and the resources appeared, and she put together this very, like a wedding that was a fraction of what it would have cost. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful affair. But it was done because of the steadfast vision and visualizing and picturing exactly what she wanted and how it was going to happen, and not hearing the negatives from me. I don't have the money. So, it's done constantly. Vision work is done all over the place. So let's talk about the process and help you out here as we're getting on in time. Vision crafting process is actually pretty simple. First, step one, you really decide what you want, and you can go to your why. Your list of whys, if you've taken the time to do that. What do you really want? Now you take those things and you imagine that what you want is what you actually have. You possess everything that you want. It's expectation, right? And you imagine. Vision is the act or power of imagining. On purpose, you imagine that what you want you now own, you now have, and you imagine it with emotion and with gratitude. And step 3 is, now that you have it, how does it feel? And you continue to bathe it in positive feelings. And how's your life different? What's going on with that? So one of the things that a gentleman who I guess I call him a mentor, but we never really met. His name is Richard Brooke. Richard Brooke, B-R-O-O-K-E. Richard Brooke, you can go to his richardbrooke.com. He has a book. You can get this book. I mean, they were selling it at a convention. It's called Mach 2. It used to be called Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, M-A-C-H 2 by Richard Brooke. And it's a book that vividly describes how to create a vision statement or your own movie script. I want you to think about a slice of your life a year from now when you have been successful at accomplishing what you visioned for yourself. What would it look like? To have everything that you want, to have the things that are on your want list, all right? To have the things that you desire, your goals, your dreams. How would that feel? And so write that down. You would write an actual slice of your life down. We don't have time, but my daughter, Amanda, did this many, many years ago, 12 years ago. And darn near 85 to 90% of what she has on her vision statement has come to fruition. And it's not something that she read. She started reading it every day, but the fact is she internalized it so vividly, that's what she wanted, that she now has that. I mean, she's definitely a very powerful manifester, as each one of you can be, if you just take these simple steps that we're talking about. But, time doesn't allow for me to read her entire vision statement to you. Just know that one day I was in session reading her vision statement, and I started getting goosebumps and tears because this is a really old piece of paper here. It's old. It's 12, 14 years old, and much of it has been accomplished, along with waterfalls cascading into her pool, the way they travel, the home they live in. I mean, what their life is like, what their kids like, how many kids they have. I mean, it was all it's all on this vision, and it was there before it was even a potential, which is pretty cool. At any rate, so the vision crafting process, let's continue on with that. So you want to craft your movie script and get that book. I know that one of our leaders, Joanne Catrino, bought it and is really getting excited about it, and she's introducing it to other people too, and she found it at a convention. Talk about synchronicity. It's called Mach 2. And so, I found it difficult for myself to go and start writing a movie script. And so, out of need, I came up with what I call a transition exercise. And I hope you'll do this with me in the few minutes that we have left. It's one of the things that you're going to want to work from. So if you're listening and you got pad and paper and stuff, then what you want to do is write down some things that you want. What do you want? Okay, let's go over some of the things you might want. Well, maybe you want to be a goal director. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you want to earn X amount of, maybe you want your check to be X amount every single week. Okay, I'm just going to talk in terms of USANA. You might want a lot more than this, but I'll give you some ideas here. Maybe you want to work from home so you can be there with your kids, or maybe you want to sponsor 3 associates every single month, or maybe you want to attract leaders, on your dream team. What's your dream team look like? Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to associate with? And you want to write all these things down. I want this. I want that. I want to be debt free. I want to give anonymously to charities. I want to be healthy. I want to be thin. I want college paid for my kids. I want to laugh. I want to do fun things every day. I'm just reading a bunch of things. I want. And so you got this. It's easy for us to want stuff. It was for me. It's easy to want stuff, but it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to accept that we already have it. It's not impossible, but certainly it's more of a challenge. It's easier to write down what we want than to write down that we have it, okay? And so the transition exercise is as follows. On a piece of paper, you write down everything you want, all the things you want, goal director, time freedom, fire your boss, whatever. And then once it's done, and don't be shy. This is your life, okay? Don't be shy. Write it all down. Once it's done, you want to convert what's the items on your want list to read like you already have them. So how would that sound? I want to be a goal director. That's right. I am a goal director, an executive goal director. That means your income is solid. I want to earn X amount each week. I earn X amount each week. I'm just being base here, okay? I want to work from home. I love working from home. It's really, really exciting. I can take time off. I can work when I want, but I love to work. And there you go. Once you have languaged over every item on your want list to read like you already have it, what you have created is a list of positive affirmations. And you can learn about that in Chad Helmstedter's book, Positive Affirmations, that through repetition and a couple other cool things we'll talk about in a minute, will reprogram your elephant. Will reprogram your elephant and tell that elephant exactly what you want, okay? And by telling it what you already have and what you desire. So it's a transition exercise. Do it. Write down everything you want and then work with languaging it over to read like you already have it. And you can actually then take those have list items and weave them, those affirmations, into a vision statement. You can give it color. You can give it more detail. And so it goes. Vision crafting. There's other ways to create this repetition that Chad Helmstetter talks about. Remember, if you could hear yes 148,000 times, you think your life would have been different if you had heard that you could do, that you can do anything? You could have accomplished anything. Well, you can start with that now today. How? By recording those I have or I am items that are on your I have list. You can record them onto your iPhone and listen over and over again. You can burn a CD, for goodness sakes. You can put them on your bathroom mirror, your refrigerator, the dashboard of your car. You can write a vision statement and then record that actual vision statement and listen to it repetitively in the background at a very low level. Your subconscious is hearing it, believe me. Over and over and over again you listen 148,000 times. Okay. You could dream board. Dream boards are amazing. People talk about dream boards. I think Wayne Dyer talked about dream boards. A dream board are pictures, or a dream book, they're pictures that you cut out of things that represent what you desire. So if it's walking on a beach, or if it's vacationing at the Taj Mahal, you cut out and get a picture of the Taj Mahal. Easy to do that. Go online and get it. And then you post it. If it's a relationship that you want, you find a picture of two people holding hands walking down the beach, and that represents relationship. If you want a vehicle, get the vehicle with the exact color you want, because you're gonna get that vehicle, and you stare at this. Put it near your desk, or put it in an area. Some people have multiple dream boards. Vision journaling, same thing. You can write every day. You can write, along with your gratitude journal, a vision of your life, what you now have, even if you don't have it. It's called expectation. Think of the snail with faith moving up the tree. That's exactly what you're doing as you're taking action. However, as I always say, the action gets easier when you're visioning, when you're in vision. So, and you want to practice a concept called visualization daily. And I'm going to spend the rest of our time talking about the visualization process. The visualization process is a concept called deliberate daydreaming. How many of you have daydreamed before in your life? Oh, look at all those hands go up. It's great. I mean, we daydream. We daydream about all kinds of stuff, what we want. So why not do that deliberately with what you truly want and truly desire, and do it consistently? So here's how you do it. First, you select a few items from your have list. That's why this transition exercise that I suggested is so vital. You do the want list, you language it over to read like you already got it, you know. I want to be a rock star. I am a rock star. I can really play the guitar. All right, so you select a few items off that have list, and then you actually list emotions that you would feel if that were true. So example would be, if I'm a goal director, how would I feel? I feel really good, I've had people say. No, but okay, great, it's good that you feel good. How would you feel? Would you feel depressed? No, of course I wouldn't feel depressed, Michael. I said, well, how would you feel? I feel successful, and I feel pumped. I feel really happy. Happy as an emotion, okay? I feel joy. I'd feel empowered, you know, and so that's an example, right? I'll show you. I'm going to show you a cheat sheet in a moment here. You want to get ready to take a screenshot of it? You're welcome to, or you'll have this on recording. So what you then do is you take the list of emotions with you take a list of your have list, and then the corresponding emotions for each of those items on your have list, and then you relax. Some people do it they meditate. Some people just do, breathing, relaxation, deep breathing. And then they begin to contemplate, take out their cheat sheet, and they see the item that they want. I'm a goal director. I feel joy. I feel empowered. And they look to feel those emotions. Now, I had difficulty with that, and many people do. I mean, if not being a goal director, but with stuff that was on my list that I wanted to contemplate, how could I conjure up the emotion of joy when I wasn't feeling joy around that issue? And I call it borrowed emotion. Just get this. You can actually borrow an emotion from something you've felt before. Let's say it's joy, and you get that joy from being out in nature. And you feel a certain way when you're out in nature, and you can think back to that, and all of a sudden you feel that same joy. That's the same feeling. Joy is joy. Now if you attach, and if you think about, you contemplate the items that you really desire, that you're a goal director in, and while you're feeling joy about being out in nature, that's borrowing the emotion from something that you know. One of the things I use is the antics and the joy that comes from my dog, Juno. When I think of Juno, when I witness Juno, he's always positive, he's always up, he's always loving, he's always entertaining, he's doing things, and they're not always good, but he's a great dog, and I love him. And he just makes me feel happy and joyful, and my whole countenance changes. So, like when I'm doing vision work, the visualization process, whatever I'm desiring, I think about Juno first. If I can't feel the emotion, I can conjure up the feeling of that emotion by thinking about Juno, or by thinking about my grandkids, or by thinking about being out in nature, or whatever it is, and I borrow those emotions from things that I have previously experienced that I know I can conjure up and give me that feeling. And it's the same feeling that if you felt joy about being a goal director, but you couldn't get there, but you felt joy about playing with your doggy, and then you thought about being a goal director, then I am a goal director and I feel joy. it would be the same thing, same emotion. So here's your cheat. We call it a visualization plan, or sometimes referred to as a cheat sheet. Okay, so goals to visualize, and we have here. I'm a goal director. I attract and I sponsor, take action, like-minded leaders to my USANA team. I have a large, successful local team. I travel with friends and family. I earn $100,000 a year with $1 million in savings and investments. I mean, these are just a few things that I threw up here to maybe lubricate the wheels of your vision process. So if I was a goal director, how would I feel? And then the emotions I would feel, I'd feel success. As a goal director, I'd feel joy. I'd feel purpose, that I was making a difference in people's lives. I'd feel proud of myself. I'd be happy, man. I would be empowered, but mostly I'd feel joy and gratitude. I attract and sponsor, take action, like-minded people. I'd feel the friendship and connection. You know how you feel when you're with a group of people and you just know you're safe and you interact together and you just have a wonderful time and your reality dissipates, and what happens is that connection happens, and that's tantamount to an emotion of joy. You feel powerful because together in numbers as a team there's power. You'd feel joyful because you're having fun, and you'd be grateful. Grateful is one of the most powerful emotions you can have next to joy and bliss. Large, successful local team, I feel social, friendship. Many of these emotions are going to be the same, but the reason that you write them down is if you choose to contemplate on travel with family and friends, for example, in your visualization that day, you get really relaxed and you close your eyes and you look at your cheat sheet, then you close your eyes, travel with family and friends. I feel joy, happiness, fun, gratitude, and you actually conjure up it so you're feeling it. The emotion drives into the subconscious mind whatever you desire much more rapidly than just the repetition of saying it. The repetition is still going to work to reprogram, to steer your elephant in the direction that your ant conscious mind wants. But when you drive it in with emotion, that's really what does it. That's where the rubber meets the road here, okay? If you had $100,000 a year in yearly earnings and you had $1 million in savings and investments, how would you feel? You'd feel secure. You'd feel pride. You'd feel successful. You'd feel joyful, happy, grateful. You'd feel at peace. You'd feel ease. These are the feelings that you'd feel. So, this is an idea. It's called a visualization plan. Hopefully that's working for you. Let's talk about managing. In a couple of minutes we got left, we're going to talk about managing your vision. So, I'm telling you, I'm suggesting how to do this. There's tons of stuff written about how to do this, or you could just review this recording when you get it, when it goes up on the team page, Facebook page. But managing your vision, you want to commit to work with your vision statement or your affirmations 3 times a day. That's only if you want what you want. If you don't really want what you want, don't bother. Okay, I'm being tongue-in-cheek here, but I'm also trying to be challenging. You want to commit to working with this 3 times each day. I know that you visualize. I know that you do this with negative thoughts many, many more times than 3 times a day. Why not choose your thoughts? By working with a vision statement, working with these affirmations. Visualize at night and in the morning. That's the best time. Your subconscious is clear, it's clean, it's ready for what you got. You're relaxed. You're not swept away by the day or the evening, or what you got to do. So when you first wake up or at night before you go to sleep, it's really a powerful time to visualize, to contemplate these items, and then the emotions that you would feel now that you have them. The more you vision, the quicker the results. And, some of you are very powerful manifestors and you don't even know it. So some of you are going to see results in days if you're in sync with this. I'm not blowing smoke here. I'm telling the truth. 30 days to see results, 90 days to see some major transformation. That's if you're consistent with this thing. And don't you owe it to yourself? Don't you owe it to yourself? I always say we got one life, and, we have one thing in our lives, and that's choice. Choice to do the things that are good for us, choice to do the things that will allow us to live our best life. This process of vision crafting and visualization is just that. So here's some supports I've talked about. You're going to see all this stuff. There's no corner on the market with self-help, with personal development, and with visioning. Think and Grow Rich, or As a Man Thinketh, which is not on here. Mach 2, that's by Richard Brooke, or What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Get that book. It's not woo-woo. There's nothing. It's all cognitive, and it's really documented, and some of it's actually humorous. The Power of Intention, Dr. Wayne Dyer just passed on Saturday. Movie The Secret, or Carl Harvey, Visualize Riches. Look up Carl Harvey. He's a great visualizer. So there you have it. What we did tonight is we talked about vision, visualization. Sorry for the background sounds here, but go out, be fruitful, and multiply your vision. Be like that snail, See that vision. See what you want for yourself. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family to live your best life. And this is a great start to do just that. So go have some fun with this. Let's see if there's any questions or comments here. Thank you, Michael. You're welcome. That should be mock, whatever. 4-Year Career by Richard Brooke is also great if you want to learn more about the network marketing industry. It's a wake-up call. I see Vicki says that, and so does David. Very good. All right. It's just as important. However, that's going to be information. Having a vision statement is going to be a little different. A vision statement is going to allow you to reprogram the things that will hold you back from the 4-year career, the resistance factors. It'll help you to eliminate some of that resistance. So it's all really, really good. And it is Vince Posente. Thank you. Great book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And I think that's probably it on comments. Listen, I appreciate you guys. I love every one of you. And I know that you can go out and make a difference. And you can not only do this for yourself, but you can set an example for others to follow. You can do this with your teams. You can make a difference in your life and thereby make a difference in other lives by shining a light for them and being that way shower. Go out and do that this week. Go out and do that every single day. Get to visioning. Do it now because, you got a choice and you only live once. So make it a great one. We'll see you next week on another Vision Action Team call. Good night, everyone.